Hello, everyone. Ask her these 8 questions. If she hesitates, she's lying. You ask her a simple, straightforward question and she pauses. Just for a second, maybe 2. But in that brief moment, something inside you tightens. It's subtle, almost invisible, yet unmistakable. So ask yourself this. Is she genuinely trying to remember? Or is she carefully choosing the safest version of the truth? Most people misunderstand this dynamic. It's not always about obvious lies. Often, it's about preparation. Some people don't fabricate stories on the spot, they refine them. They manage their words so precisely that you won't catch inconsistencies just by listening. But there's one thing that's much harder to control: timing. That tiny space between your question and her answer can reveal more than the answer itself. Because the truth doesn't always break in what is said, it often breaks in the hesitation before it's spoken. If you've ever had the feeling that something was off but couldn't prove it, this is where clarity begins. Not by analyzing words, but by observing reactions. Where exactly did you go after work today? This seems like a simple question. But it's not really about the answer, it's about how quickly the answer comes. When someone is telling the truth about something recent, they don't need time to think. The memory is fresh, accessible, right at the surface. There's no effort involved. But if there's a pause, if her eyes shift slightly, if there's even a moment of delay, that's not memory retrieval. That's decision-making. Psychologically, this is called cognitive load. Telling the truth requires recall. Hiding something requires constructing, filtering, and selecting a version of reality that feels safe. That process takes time, even if only a second or 2. So instead of focusing on what she says, pay attention to how long it took her to say it. To show me your phone right now. Unlock it. Now the situation changes completely. You're no longer asking about memory, you're removing time. And when time disappears, so does the ability to prepare. This question creates pressure. It forces an immediate response, driven by instinct rather than rehearsal. And instinct is where honesty tends to leak through. If there's nothing to hide, the reaction is simple and immediate. No hesitation, no defensiveness. But if there is hesitation, if she laughs it off, questions your motives, or turns it back on you, that reaction matters more than anything you might find on the phone itself. Because in that moment, she's not responding, she's buying time. 3. How much money did you spend yesterday? This question appears harmless, but it's surprisingly revealing. Money reflects behavior. Every action leaves a trace, and spending is a record of those actions. You're not asking what she did, you're asking for a number. That forces her to mentally reconstruct her day. If she's open, the answer comes quickly, even if it's just an estimate. But if she hesitates, it's not about calculation, it's about selection. She's deciding what to include and what to leave out. Real recall flows naturally. Edited recall comes in fragments, with pauses in between. And those pauses are where the filtering happens. For what's your biggest regret about us? Now the conversation shifts from facts to emotions. This question forces prioritization. She can't hide behind vague complaints, she has to choose something meaningful. If she's emotionally honest, the answer will be specific and grounded, even if it's uncomfortable. But hesitation here often signals internal conflict. Psychologically, this is known as cognitive dissonance, when actions and self-image don't align. She may want to see herself as honest or loyal, but if her behavior contradicts that, your question exposes the gap. So instead of answering directly, she searches for a version of the truth that feels safer, less revealing. 5. When was the last time you thought about your ex? This question tests boundaries, not memory. If the past is truly resolved, there's no pressure. The answer comes easily. But if there's anything unresolved emotionally or mentally, the hesitation appears. You might hear clarifying questions like, which ex? Or what do you mean? But those aren't always genuine confusion. Often, they're a way to buy time. Because now she's evaluating what you might already know, and what answer won't create complications. 6. Why do you always shower immediately when you get home? Now you're no longer analyzing words, you're observing patterns. Anyone can explain a single action, but consistent behavior reflects intention. If the habit is harmless, the explanation is simple and immediate. But if there's a hidden purpose, the reaction changes defensiveness, irritation, or deflection, because patterns reveal systems. And sometimes, those systems exist to separate different parts of someone's life. If a behavior is consistent but difficult to explain clearly, it may not just be a habit, it may be a mechanism. 7. What would you do if I checked your social media right now? This question introduces a hypothetical scenario, and that's what makes it powerful. Hypotheticals bypass rehearsed responses. They force the mind to imagine consequences in real time. Her first emotional reaction is the key. If she's comfortable, the response is calm and natural. But hesitation signals something else. Anticipation, anxiety. She's not reacting to what you're doing, she's reacting to what you might find. That mental review messages, interactions, hidden details, that's not transparency. That's damage control. 8. Look me in the eyes and tell me you've never kept anything important from me. Now everything comes together. There's no room for stories, explanations, or distractions, just direct truth under pressure. To eye contact changes the dynamic. Words can be controlled, but the body is harder to manage. Subtle cues appear. Breaks in eye contact, increased blinking, tension, changes in breathing. And listen carefully to the wording. Instead of saying, I've never kept anything from you, she might say, I've never kept anything important from you. That one word creates space to hide certain truths while technically remaining honest. That's not openness. That's precision. Final insight. These questions don't create the truth, they reveal what's already there. Every pause, every hesitation, every delay is not random. It's a moment of decision. A moment where someone chooses what to say instead of simply saying it. When those moments repeat, they form a pattern. And patterns are far more reliable than words. The truth doesn't disappear, it leaks through timing, through behavior, through subtle inconsistencies. So instead of asking yourself whether you're overthinking, ask a better question. Why does the hesitation keep happening? Because in the end, you don't need more answers. You need sharper observation.